Hopefully my computer won't crash while I'm trying to record. So people don't fail because they aren't talented or they don't know what they're doing. Most of the time, it's because they consistently don't do the activities that generate revenue. Now, what successful entrepreneurs do differently, number one, they protect their priorities. Number two, they protect their calendar. Number three, they focus on revenue producing activities. Number four, and this is the hardest one for me because I like to change things up, repeat boring actions consistently. And number five, stop confusing momentum or movement. Sorry, stop confusing movement with progress. So if we all just take a minute and we look back to yesterday and last week, last month even, how many hours did you spend talking to prospects? And do you know beyond the shadow of a doubt, your numbers and you've tracked them? How many hours did you actually spend doing revenue generating activities or specifically talking to prospects? In our business, that's the statistics that matter most. Entrepreneurs don't usually fail because they run out of time. I mean, we're all busy, but we all have the same amount of time. They fail because they run out of focused time. So today I'm going to show you how to focus your time, teach you how to time block if you've never done this before. I've owned a bunch of businesses, homeschooling mom of four. Most of the businesses I did were pretty successful. And it's an easy check, like I said in the beginning, for me to go, oh, I'm off. This is why I'm off. I've allowed something to get in those time blocks. If you don't control your calendar, then you're not going to win your day. You won't win your week. You won't win your month, and you won't win your year. How many of you yesterday, for example, and y'all, this is going to be super interactive, and I want to see everybody participate. How many of you spent at least 30 minutes yesterday doing something that didn't move your life or your business forward? And you can put it in the chat. Me, yes, raise your hand, whatever, perfect. Did it have anything to do with this? I hate to blame this all the time, but that's usually where mine goes. I have good intentions when I pick it up, like, oh, I need to post or I need to blah, blah. And then the next thing, it's like, oh, good. That was an hour gone. Yes, thank y'all for hours. Life sucking. Yes. So the problem, again, not that we don't have enough time, it's that we spend our time on things that don't match our priorities. So I'm going to walk you through how I time block. We're going to do some exercises together so that you can control your calendar. So make sure you have a notebook and a pen. I was going to do a worksheet, but the homeschooling mom and me knew that y'all would all get distracted and go to like no, page 3 when I'm on one. So I'm going to control this conversation. So Emma, will you cue up that video, please? I'm sure some of y'all have seen this. It may bore you. Some of you probably haven't. So it's a great reminder either way. Even when I was looking at it, I was like, man, such a great reminder. So are all of y'all, have y'all seen that illustration before? It's just such a good visual. I'm super visual. But the thing that I like to remember, and I have said it, and I actually have it on my wall over here. I'm not building a business. We're not building a business and hoping that life fits around it. We're building a life and then creating a business that should support it, that supports it. So, what are the big rocks? That's the first activity. Write down your top priorities. Like at the end of the day, these are the things that I have to make sure are happening, and it's personal and business, and just the big rocks. And then if you want to throw some in the chat, yeah, non-negotiables, carry in. And you don't have to get super finite because each of these priorities will also have their own block, their own slots. So, like if you put health, for instance, you're going to have workouts, meal prep, whatever for the day. If you put your spouse, you're going to have date night, daily time carved out for them. So just the big non-negotiables, what are those? I'll give you about a minute to do that. And I do have a worksheet I'm going to give you at the end that will you can go back through and look. It's what I use every single month. Spend more time with your sons, create more time and financial freedom. Love that. More ministry, family time, health, wellness. Yes. So if you looked at your calendar yesterday, last week, would I know if I looked at your calendar, I should have said, would I know that these were your priorities? And that's one of the questions that I ask myself during, a month of like review and setting up my calendar for the following month. And then why or why not? That's a big one. And you may want to go back to that, take your time on that one. But if you looked at your calendar, would you know those were your priorities? Why or why not? All right, now let's talk about this is part two, my revenue producing activities. What actually puts money in your bank account? And it should be the same for all of us. Emma, if you will drop that little checklist in the chat. So it's calling leads, following up, if you're in the field or you do warm market, booking appointments, presentations, asking for referrals. For me, I do a lot of underwritten stuff. So one of my income generating activities, unfortunately, is being on the phone with carriers so I can get things through and, feel like I did that yesterday. I did have 4 things approved in one day, y'all, which is a record for me in underwriting. So yesterday was a great day, but it was full of calling carriers and getting requirements and all that stuff. So, but that was a miracle. I would really love to have more of those days, honestly. And then the other tasks that don't necessarily put money in your pocket, but are important, also need to go on the calendar so that you're not spending too much time doing them. So, training, obviously, not telling you not to do training. We need to do training. Um, Carrier calls, organizing your CRM. I feel like I missed something with Jason and Emma. No, somebody did something funny and I missed it because I'm looking at my notes. Organizing CRM, creating logos, that's always a fun one. Watching videos. Again, those are things that have to be done, but you need to put them on your calendar so they don't take your calendar over. Watch your videos at 9 p.m. Watch your videos, when you can't get in touch with people anymore. And then we have to find the leaks. That's part 3. So write this down. You can come back to it if you want, or you can do it now. What are 3 things stealing your time? And you know it. You should just absolutely know it super quickly. And I'm not talking about kids. I'm talking about something that's stealing your time. Yes, they take time, but that's time well spent. I'm talking like phone or, you know, generating 72 logos or something like that. One thing that you will stop doing and one thing that you will delegate. John Wetmore in his book, it was like such an eye opener for me. It said, these are the things that I'm going to start. And because I'm going to start this, these are the things that I have to stop doing. So, if you've got a Netflix addiction or something like that, like something's got to give somewhere if you're saying you want this in order to get this. Your calendar is a picture of your future. If you don't like where your current calendar is taking you, today is the day to redesign it. And you can do that any day. Like if it sucked yesterday, then today you're going to redesign it. All right, I'm going to switch gears for 1 second. And then I'm going to come back and we're actually going to work on time blocking our calendars. So do this for me really quickly. If you have another job and you're working insurance part-time, type 1 in the chat. And if you are working this full-time, this is your full-time career, type 2 in the chat. Nice. Nick gets to put 2 now. So I'm going to talk to Nick for a minute. Will you talk to me for a moment, please, sir? We heard a lot about him doing crazy numbers as a part-time guy, right? And hear me when I say I'm not taking anything away from him doing it part-time. I want you to hear when I talk to him, and I hope this is the truth because we did not talk before. I hope this is real. I'm pretty sure it is. That he didn't actually have a part-time gig with insurance and a full-time gig with his other job. He had 2 full-time gigs because yes, you can run good numbers with a few hours, but the numbers he did, there's no way that he gave this business his leftovers, which is what a
100.
lot of people try to do. So, can you give us a day in the life of Nick when you had another job, please?
Absolutely. So really it doesn't look all that different right now. I tell people all the time, like if you get into insurance or you go into business for yourself in general, because you want to dictate your schedule and you want more time off and more time with your family, it's not the reality of it. It's really not. Anytime you go in business for yourself, it's something that you're married to. You know, a business is something that's living and breathing, and you have to constantly maintain and feed it. So for me, whenever I was, and I'll speak just for right now because it's really the same exact schedule. I'm just kind of more concentrated on one than the other. But you're absolutely right. I don't even like telling people that I was doing this part-time because that's not true. I had two full-time jobs that I really just worked simultaneously. Um, so the schedule that built my business is the way that I kind of titled this. The truth is, there's nothing magical about my schedule. There's no secret hacks or shortcuts. My philosophy is simple. Take care of your faith, your family, your fitness, and your business in that order. By the time that most people start their workday, I've already invested in all 4 of those categories.
Hmm.
My day starts at 5 a.m. and I begin preparing for the day. That includes getting myself ready, helping my family. From whenever they wake up, they'll be ready. I'm just making breakfast and stuff like that for the girls. Make sure my wife's taken care of before I leave. At 5:45, I'll leave the house. During my drive, I'm either listening to Bible recordings or readings or personal development content. I want to start every day feeding my mind with something positive and productive. At 6 a.m., I arrive at my office. I drop off my backpack, work materials, and head straight to the gym. From 6:10 to 6 to 7:45, roughly, I'm doing stretching, cardio, weight training, and then I'm jumping in the shower at the gym and I walk 150 yards to my office. Which kind of brings me to another point. I know that a lot of people get into this because they want to work from home, right? And I worked from home for a long time. I worked from home with my corporate job for about 5 years. And whenever I decided that I was going to do this full time, which I've made this decision a long time ago, but the opportunity really presented itself for me to invest in an office space. And whenever I did that, that's whenever my numbers really jumped because I secluded myself. Everything around me I can control. I don't have to worry about my family. I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. They don't understand that I'm home and I can't play, right? And it just kind of broke my focus. And since I moved to this office, it's improved my relationship with my family. It's helped me concentrate on, actually revenue producing activities. And it got me into the zone. Um, once I get to the gym, I mean, once I leave the gym, I come to my office. My revenue producing hours, actually from 7:45 to 8:15 is administrative time. I do carrier follow-up, CRM management, client service items, policy issues, daily planning, working with my VA to get everything straightened out. One thing is for sure, guys, whenever you write a bunch of business, you're going to have a lot of admin stuff. So you might as well go ahead and slot that off at the beginning of your day so you're not interrupting your dialing time. You need to protect your dialing time at all costs. My revenue producing hours, my first slot is from 8:30 to 10:30 a.m. At 10:30 to 10:45, I'm taking a lunch break. My dialing session resumes 30 minutes later from 11 to 3 p.m., 3 to 3:30 essentially. And then I'm taking I'm eating again. And then I don't know what you call that. It's between lunch and dinner. Uh, and then my dialing session number two is going to be three, I'm sorry, is going to be from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. I'm trying to get home by 6:30. Playing with my girls, feeding, bath time, bedtime, all that other good stuff. And I'm in bed by 10:30. I do have to spend time with my wife, obviously. That's really the only time during the day we get to really hang out. And then the next step is that's my schedule during the week. Now, to me, that's like the baseline of just being a professional. If you want to really step up to the next level, obviously I talk about it all the time. Your activity will solve all of your problems. And whenever you are focused on doing that during the week, you need to slot out time on the weekends too. I always escape to my office on the weekends. I do give myself a little more grace. I sleep till like 6 or 6:30. Between 8 to 9:30, I'm at the gym. At 10 a.m. to 10:30, I arrive at my office. My Saturday mornings are dedicated to thank you cards, organizing my book of business, reviewing client files, policy service work, and administrative cleanup tasks. Once that's complete, I'll focus on what a lot of agents completely ignore, which is protecting existing business. That's missed payments, pending lapses, carrier notifications, potential chargebacks. A lot of agents, and myself included, are exclusively focused on writing new business, which is important. Don't get me wrong, it's very important. But I've found a tremendous value in protecting the business that's already on the books. Many of these clients aren't trying to cancel. They had changed bank accounts. I've had carriers make mistakes that I chased down a few weeks ago. They just didn't realize there was an issue. So your job is not just to sell the client, but it's also to service their policy. Like, don't get me wrong, guys. Like what we do, we make a lot of money. But at the same time, we do have a duty, a fiduciary duty to make sure that these clients are protected once we do get that deposit in our account. That's not the end of this.
Mhm.
Um, 2 Saturdays ago, I recovered $7,800 in AP that otherwise would have become chargebacks and lost business.
Wow.
This is now I've made an adjustment. I was talking to Clark about this the other day. Most of my payments start or like my clients make their payments on the third of every month, like the vast majority. Um, so I from now on Saturdays after the third of the month, I'm dedicating 80% of my day to just chasing down missed payments, chargebacks. I'm checking my emails from carriers. I'm filtering out per carrier and going down the line to make sure that I can touch base with anyone that's even missed a payment. And 7,000, I had a decision to make last Saturday to either, push ahead and make some numbers look even more sexy, or I could protect money that's already there. And I chose to do the latter, and I'm so glad that I did because making $8,000 on a Saturday is very, very uncommon. I don't typically have that much luck on Saturdays. And I can tell you the clients really do appreciate that call. Like I talked to, I think it was like 4 or 5 clients that I touched base with to recover that $7,800. And every one of them was like, thank you so much. I had no idea there was an issue. I want this coverage, so on and so forth.
Because a lot of people think, well, maybe it's on purpose and now they don't want the policy. I've heard
Exactly.
agents say that before, and
We
they
make
just,
assumptions,
yeah,
you
this is
know?
not their number one task like it is ours, or, the
Right.
top of mind. Yeah.
Great point. Absolutely. No, we do have a duty to look out for them. And a lot of people, like you said, I mean, they have that anxiety behind, oh, they just canceled, so on and so forth. It's not the case most of the time. I can tell you from 2 weeks ago, that was not the case with any of my clients.
Mhm.
They just had an issue with the bank. I mean, a slew of different things, but one of them in particular was a carrier issue. They just didn't move a payment date like they were supposed to, and I'm just over here just trying to connect the dots for them. And then Sunday, I know it's kind of long-winded, Ms. D, but this is the end of it.
This is gold. Yes.
On Sunday, it's faith and family time. We go to 9:30 service. We're out by 10:30. From then, my girls know the drill. We're going to the Mexican restaurant and we're hanging out. Uh, we're eating, and then we're going back home. We're at home around 1 o'clock. That's whenever my girls settle down for their afternoon nap. I head to the office during that time, and I usually spend another 3 to 4 hours dialing. For me, guys, like I make more money on Sundays, and I've kind of just attributed to, they went to church, they're thinking about their family. They may have even had, lunch with their family on Sunday, and they're just at home, sitting in the recliner, nothing else going on, probably just unwinding because they did go to church on Sunday, many of them, or they had some kind of activities. And I do really, really well on Sundays comparatively in just a few short hours. I don't dial all day, but if I show up at 1 o'clock, I'll dial from like 1 to 4, 1 to 5, depending on if my family's around, what's going on in my life at that point. That's the day that I'm the most flexible, obviously. But yeah, I believe that the Monday through Friday schedule that I laid forth is just to be a professional, it's just to be average.
Hmm.
If you really want to excel, I think you need to implement something on Saturdays and Sundays, or, I also believe in doing automations. It's something I really lack on. I know that AI and automations is really taking a big leap forward over the last few months. And that's something that I'm really looking into. I had some deep conversations with Elvira the other day regarding that. But this is just what I can do alone by myself. This is what's something else that you guys can implement is just a few things from this schedule. And I believe that, the activity solves all of your problems. You'll instantly make more money.
That's awesome. Well, and Monday isn't really Monday because you've done business 7 days a
Right.
week, and that's not for everybody. Don't,
Right.
as Rocky
100%.
says, don't hear what I'm not saying. But if it works for your schedule and that's how you can get your activity in, then as a professional entrepreneur, you have to be willing to do that. Sometimes I'm on the phone, 10, 11 o'clock at night, not necessarily because I want to, but because I didn't get it done, or I had an activity or I did something with one of the kids or whatever. You have to be able to do that. So how did what's happening right now differ from when you had a job?
Not honestly, not a whole lot, just my focus.
Uh-huh.
Whenever I was running my day job, I would have to stop periodically for meetings. I'd be constantly sending emails and stuff on my work laptop that sits right here next to me. But the only difference is that I can build more momentum now because I don't have to stop for meetings, concentrate on things I really don't care about. I'm able just to fully focus. So in
Yeah.
terms of my schedule, there's really not a whole lot that's changed. I just take less phone calls in the evening. I can spend more time with my family and dedicate and really not even necessarily concentrate, just cut loose from the everyday world and just be with my family. So honestly, there's not a whole lot that's changed in my schedule since I've quit my day job.
Got it. So good. Thank you so much for sharing with us. That is,
Absolutely.
I, in the very beginning of this business, I was always like, okay, but tell me what you do. Like, I know activity and I know this, but like lay it out for me. And that's when I started time blocking because it was just disappearing into space. And I'd be like, what the heck did I just do today? Okay, Emma, will you drop the blank weekly calendar in the chat, please? The one for everybody to share. I'm visual. I've told y'all that. So this is going to look like a kindergarten calendar, but I've been using it for years. So I'm going to share it with y'all. The second page also has tips on it for how to, like, how you're, blocking it out. See how colorful it is? You can print it, you can do it digitally, whatever you want to do. But I want us to at least get started on it. We have a few minutes left. Um, while you're pulling that up, Emma, will you share my calendar? Now, this is not, I'm not sharing my actual calendar with y'all because it's pretty overwhelming, but I'm sharing my starter week with you guys because this is what every single week, this is what I start with, and then everything else goes around it. So if I have a dentist appointment, I know this sounds super kindergarten but for some people it's like, oh, that makes sense. I'm looking at this to see where I can fit that dentist appointment. I'm not going to not do breakfast club because I have a dentist appointment. I'm not going to not do dial time because I have a dentist appointment. If somebody wants to book an appointment with me, they have to go in the green. Date night, family night, almost always non-negotiables. Sometimes we're going to be together all weekend and we might not do family night. Um, but that's just what we do. It is the only way that I know that I get it in and I see eyeballs and I am with my people. The other trainings are in there. So this is like the skeleton of my calendar every single week, and then other things go around it. If it is, if I don't have a bunch of green filled in, then I know I did not do what I needed to do, to generate the activity. Yes, Jason, you can add smiley face stickers to yours. So dumb. I should have just made it black and white, but anyway, this calendar works for me. So you can choose so just, like when you're filling out your calendar, I put revenue generating activities in green. I put meetings in blue, and then I put family and, other personal things in yellow. So also at the top of my calendar, I have, working out or eating, whatever I'm doing. So I'll come back and fill those in. If I have a lunch date, that's gonna, go 1:30, something like that, or a lunch appointment. Um, okay, Emma, that's good. Thank you. Anybody have any questions or like what you start with? If you're building this business full time, I highly recommend going in there and putting in dial time first. Like Nick, I'm sure could tell you, anybody could tell you, Emma could tell you, like what are the hours to dial best? Can you drop link again? I had to switch computers. Yeah. Emma, can you drop that again?
For me personally, I like to land an app before like 10 a.m. If I can land an app before 10 a.m., it's going to be a good day.
Mhm.
I work a lot off of momentum. Like I had this conversation with Elvira the other day. I didn't just suddenly write 92,000 in business in 1 month. You build up momentum, you build up confidence until you get to that point, right? So for me, like on a very basic mind frame, if I can start writing business, if I get my first app before 9:30 or 10, then I can get another one before 1 and another one before 4. And man, if I can get one more before 6, we're talking about a really, really decent day there, you know.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's one of my things. I don't think that I have a particular favorite or the best dialing time, but I will say in terms of like dictating the my day, if I can land one early, that's going to really help me. And there's nothing more satisfying than landing one at 6:30 or 7 after working late.
Mhm.
That's my two favorites.
So Jason put 8 to 10, 11 to 2, and 5 to 8, which is kind of where my blocks are. The lunch in there is more of, like if I have an appointment or something like that, I'll leave that open. And I will put appointments, in my green blocks. So at a glance. And if you go to my Calendly, those are the blocks where you can actually book an appointment. 8:30 to 12:30, 1:30 to 5:30 is what I currently run. Awesome. Tony G, what you got?
I like to double down on some of the things that you and Nick kind of led into with the momentum part. That is a huge, and let me back up with you saying um, there's a handful of things I think everybody would hear you saying, to Rocky's point, don't hear what you're not saying. A lot of people want to do the time blocking and they look at the end, or even at this point, look at Nick. Now it's like, okay, well, I'm going to put mine together. But as soon as you find an excuse, Nick does what he does for his children. He doesn't let his children be the excuse of why he doesn't get things done.
Correct.
You've got to invert that completely. That's where time blocking comes from, because you become a slave to that calendar, period, and
Either
you do
way.
not deviate from it.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now,
Family, slave, or business.
correct.
And then you look up and yeah.
Yeah. And y'all know, I mean, obviously, I'm probably the other side of the thing because I put work-life balance together like this, so you can't have it. So I'm just going to implement them together. So I took my son to 8%. They are all involved with what I do on a day-to-day basis. If I'm sitting at dinner time, I'm sitting at dinner time and my phone makes this little sound. My kids, they think it sounds like Funky Town. They just start singing the song and they know I'm going into my office to triple dial that lead right then. And I could be gone for an hour or I could be right back out because they don't answer. They understand how the business works because they also understand when daddy does that, we go to Florida for a week at a time. And
Yes.
even during that, I got one day. They know when we leave, I'm going to pick a day. And that morning, to get to Nick's point of momentum, I'm going to stop vacation and work for that period of time. You've got to have a 4 hour block in there. Momentum is key. Nick hit it on the head here. And so the best analogy I've ever heard is this. What Nick just described is microwave popcorn. He goes and sits down, puts his microwave popcorn in there. He lets it go for what's microwave popcorn go to? 2.5 minutes.
Hmm.
Okay. The average rep says, well, I'm going to put in 2.5 minutes, but they put it in for 30 and then they stop. And they put in for 45 and then they stop. And they put in for 15 seconds and then they stop. And when all is said and done, they've done 2.5 minutes, but it's not the same. Everybody tell me right now, you put in the chat, if you start 15 seconds and stop, and then you do 45 seconds and stop, and then you do
Nope.
another minute and stop, and then you do 15, what do you got?
Nothing.
Because they ain't popcorn.
Right.
So that's
Flat
the
bag.
disconnect. That's exactly, yeah. You got a mess, and then you're going, this doesn't work. Nick doesn't know what he's talking about. Deanna doesn't know what she's talking about. Because I put in the same 2.5 minutes, and I've got a bag of nothing. I've got like two pops. Nick puts in 2.5 minutes. He's got a bag of 96,000. Little play on work there. That's a huge difference here. So the time blocking is a gigantic thing for y'all. I love Deanna's too. I have a literal electronic one that Corey put together that you literally put it in there and it subtracts the time. And you said this is what triggered the same thing. And I'm done. You said if you put sometimes I move and things like that because you've earned that right. I would tell everybody else if you're going to have a doctor's appointment, it needs to be on there. If you're going to go outside and walk the dog, it needs to be on there. If you're going to
Yep.
get up and go to lunch, it's got to be on there. It's the Dave Ramsey money scenario to your time. Dave Ramsey teaches. I'm not a Dave Ramsey fan. I'm a fan, but I'm not a fan. He,
Thanks
but
for
but his
clarifying.
but his principle, yeah, right.
I was
Here's
about to end the
the
call. No, I'm just
you're
kidding.
right, right, exactly. On
Tony's done.
insurance, he's 100% wrong on insurance. We'll just put it that way. Everything else we can argue about, but he's 100% wrong on insurance. But what he does do, if you manage your money, is you know where every single dollar goes to the penny every week. That's what you have to do with your time. And y'all, here's why. What else can you do? Look at Nick here. I don't even know. Nick, how old are you? 29, 24, 23, 33?
Wow.
That's what happens when you take care of your body. You don't even
Little
age.
baby.
So who here believes Nick is not going to be independently wealthy by the time he's 40? Anybody? So you tell me what else you can do that could do that for you and your family. That if you buckle down and you got to put in hours, you're going to have to sacrifice some time with your family, you're going to have to do all that stuff to be financially free for the rest of your days. Our industry does that. Nick is living proof of it.
Yeah.
Just put
Yeah.
in the time. Just put
I
in the
mean,
time.
that's a
Thank
great
you.
point. You even said that, Tony, because I say that all the time. Like, I want someone else to look at me and my schedule, and I want them, I always wonder, like, would they bet on me to be successful? Right? And like, I don't care what other people think. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, like, uh, if I'm from the outside looking in, do I think that I'm going to be successful by my daily activities? And so it's funny that you say that because that's something that I was talking about last night in the Anchor Point night school meeting. If anyone looks at what you do on a daily basis, would they bet on you, or would they say, no, they're not ready, right?
Yeah.
So just play that in your head. I do it every day to make sure that I stay disciplined and on schedule.
Well, the other thing too about time blocking that I talk to newer agents about is yes, you are an entrepreneur. This is, and it's totally different from anything you've ever done. You usually have hours that your boss tells you, and it's just, you just follow. This is you creating the life that you want. There should never be any guilt about this business. You should, and the only way to avoid that is to time block because this is my family time. Because I take time out of my schedule for my family in that moment, they know that they are the most important thing right then.
Yeah.
Same thing for my husband. He never, ever, and I mean never, looks at me sideways when I want to work till 11, looks at me sideways when I'm still working when he gets home. Just because he knows, that things are prioritized and blocked out. And I would dare say, but two of my four kids are on here. I would dare say that them watching me for years being an entrepreneur, they said, I'm not going to have it. Emma said to me last night, I could never have a job. We're designing and maybe off, I've still got one. Of course, now she says she does want to own her own business. She just doesn't want to do insurance. But we're showing our kids that they can do anything and be anything they want by our work ethics. So my point is a lot of moms have mom guilt. If you have things scheduled and you're not running around willy-nilly, and I just say it all the time, you're designing your day, that guilt completely goes away because you are designing what you want. Um, and if you get your kids involved and they understand, Tony and I have talked about it before. We have charts on the wall. And this, when I was doing that 100,000 challenge, there was a chart on the wall. And when we hit this 100,000, this is what we're going to do. And any business I ever did, there was always a goal and a target, and they were involved. They know everything, all the ins and outs of the business, the good, the bad, the ugly. When I've had a great day, they all, bad day, they ask, how was your day? The first thing my husband says when he walks in the door now that Gabe's an agent is, what'd you do today? Did you sell anything today? Or on a Saturday? People aren't buying insurance on a Saturday. People aren't buying, like we're all so involved and intertwined that, it's just who we are. Yes, Mel.
I will tell everyone that I've learned one thing with my journey with this counter blocking, and Deanna taught me this. What Deanna has it been like 3 years now? Like we've
Yep.
been doing this.
Mhm.
With me having so many other appointments, I'm talking like necessary other appointments. Now that my kids are grown, it's just my health. If I have to take time away from where I would normally be doing whatever on my calendar, I have to put that back in. If I take away from something that is income producing time, that means when I get back at 3 or 4 o'clock, and I've even had to do it with you guys, like, hey, I'll be back at 4, I'll be back at 5. And that's not normally a time that I would be dialing or calling the carriers. I have learned that kind of just like a job, that if I didn't have the time to take, in other words, if I wasn't producing the income that I'm supposed to, if I didn't have the time to take, then I've got to add it back in. So it's just like giving your boss a slip to say, can I have this time off? And they say, no, you're going to have to make it up or stay late or do whatever.
Yep.
So when I adapted that so that therefore my health was not ever an excuse, it's a valid reason to miss, but it's not an excuse to not have to make up that time to produce money later, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So that was the only way that I had to, even though I'm not punching a clock, I still had to treat it as a business. And I had to hold myself. And that's really hard to hold myself accountable because when I get in from an appointment or I've had an infusion or I've had treatments, now it doesn't mean I don't call in the bed and make those phone calls or email those carriers or talk to a client. I don't think God or anybody else cares how I do it. I could be, standing on my head for anybody cares. But just if we have to take time off, which we do because we're busy, we're moms, we're grandmothers, we're sisters, like we do take time off for people. But if we don't slot that back in, it's just missed time again. And then therefore we find ourselves being discouraged and we're taking advantage of being in business with and for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
There's my soapbox. Sorry.
That's good. Thank you for sharing. Okay, we've got like 8 minutes left, 9 minutes. I can't do math. Yeah, homeschooled my kids. It's fine. Um, Michael Brown, I see in the chat you said I'm still working on the guilt. Can you share about that? Like what is that about? How long
Yeah,
have you been doing the business?
can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I've been full time for this is week 4, so I'm in month 1. I've
Okay.
been part time since January. Um, and what I meant by that basically is I do time block. It's not perfect by any means, but I have like I have kind of like a productivity notebook. It's not with me. It's at my other location. But basically, I block out my dial hours, and then I kind of do what Tony was talking about, where if I do something, I write it down so that I know that's what I did. For example, my lunches are typically just lunch and a walk. But the guilt for me, like, so I worked a traditional 8 to 5 cold calling for 7 years. So that's currently what I'm doing right now is I'm running 8 to 5 currently. And when I say I'm still dealing with the guilt, it's I'm still working on, the communication with my wife, for example, of, hey, a couple of days this week I'm going to be working late. And it still feels guilty. Like she's amazing and we communicate really well on that and she's very supportive of this. So that is good. Um, but it's kind of testing the waters and feeling okay. What's a good day to work late this week? And I'm trying to do one a week right now. For example, I worked late last night, and I'm glad I did because Nick was there, and I ended up closing a husband and a wife, so it's worth it.
Mhm.
Um, and it's just kind of figuring out what works for you. And but at the end of the day, like Nadine said in there, you have to communicate with your family. I think in the beginning, it was like I was just down here doing it, and then like assuming it was okay, and then like that would cause that tension,
Yes.
right? But you have to sit down, have that conversation when that time comes, and not necessarily in the moment, have that conversation prior.
Yeah, and the
I
moment
don't
is
know if
not
that
good.
resonates with anybody,
Yeah.
but just let them know
Do you
that
have a
you're
date
doing it
night?
for them. Say that again.
Do you have a date night the same night every
We
week or
don't. One of these days we will. We have a 3.5-year-old, so our date night is just taking care of her every day.
that's okay. Well, and she can go on the date with you, but
Yeah, yeah,
I promise you, if you not promise you, I better not say that because I don't know people that well or your dynamics. But if you put a date night on the calendar, it will change even what you have in the back of your mind of like, am I giving my family enough? Are we doing this enough? Whatever, a family night and a date night, even if you have a focused dinner and did you say daughter, your 3-year-old?
yeah.
Your
Yep.
3-year-old daughter is playing or whatever, but you've maybe made dinner or something like that, but make it on the calendar so that it is a thing. And I mean, that guilt totally went away for me when we did that date night because it was focus time for us. Um, that's just a huge recommendation. I don't know if,
I love it.
yeah.
Well, that's good.
And
I
tell
already
her,
I already wrote down that I'm going to have a conversation about both those
yeah,
things.
and say which night is best for us. I really want to start having a date night so that we can focus on just us and whatever. It'll be incredible. I promise.
I love it.
Yep.
Thanks.
Absolutely. 5 minutes. Anybody got any questions or as when you fill out your calendars, if you want to hit me up on, send me a DM or something like that, I can certainly help you. But hopefully this was helpful and cleared up some entrepreneurial questions of like,
I have a quick thought for you.
yes, yes.
This is Guy.
Hey, Guy.
Um, hey, one thing I'm recognizing our clients. I think one bad habit that I've always held to is when a client calls me, I want to be accessible to them, so I answer because I think it's either going to be a referral or it's going to be a need that I can help with or something. And if I'm not careful, their chaos will become my problem, and I'll start chasing their need, which ruins my time block.
Yep.
So if we block out 2 or 3 hours to dial, that's outgoing new business time blocking. So anything incoming, if it's an emergency, they'll leave a phone number, they'll leave a message, but it's easy to chase that rabbit, and it can take an hour out of your time because they missed a payment and they don't know how to get in touch with the carrier, and all of a sudden you feel like it's your responsibility. So that's my thought as far as, I want to be accessible to my clients, but outgoing time is outgoing time, and that's that.
And they can totally take you down a rabbit hole. And the next thing you know, it's 3 hours later, you're still working on their missed payment. Yep. Perla, Miss D, when you started, how old were your kids? Though this particular business was just 6 years ago. So my youngest would have been, somebody help me do the math. She's 15 now. So
Hello.
9. Yeah. But I have owned businesses since 2010, probably. So my first brick and mortar retail store was in 2013, and Carly would have been 2. And she was actively working the register at my store at 2. So I've always had to, 9, LOL, thanks, Emma. I've always had to actively shuffle. I had them working. It looked like a sweatshop, them like tagging things and it's always, we've always been very entrepreneurial. Meanwhile, my husband with the same exact job for 28 years now, 8 to 5, home at 5:15 every single day. Praise God that he was that way and is still that way. Never misses work. Like he's the most steady individual you'll ever meet so that we can all go and do the crazy stuff that we do. So, it's just always worked. All right, 928. Anybody got anything else? And Perla, if you ever want to talk about that, I can totally help you because I'm telling you, charts and pictures, and we would sit down at the table and throw out magazines and cut out things that we wanted to do. And, it's just very helpful to involve everyone in your family business.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else got anything?
It looks like there's a question in the chat from Coach Kimberly. What lead source do you use? I don't know if that was meant for you directly or Nick. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, so what I would say is whoever your immediate upline is, ask them who they're using, what they're using. Because all of them that True Wealth is recommending these days, they all work. And they're all working pretty well. So they're on the website under lead source, I believe. So check that out. But then also check with and you can DM Nick for sure in Slack and he'll share with you too. Everybody will share what they're doing. But just always check with your immediate upline before you do anything different. Like the guy we had last week that was talking about his lead source. I'm like, don't anybody go do those leads.
We're not promoting leads.
We are not he promoted those leads so hard. He was very helpful, but he was definitely promoting leads.
I
All right.
It's muy
smell
caliente
kickback.
fuego.
I immediately did a review. I was like, yeah, not doing that. All right, guys, 9:30. Thank y'all all for coming, showing up. Hope this was
Thank
helpful.
you.
If you need anything, please let me know, reach out. But we will see everybody. What's today? Today's Wednesday. Oh yeah, we'll see you. See you.
Thank you.
Lucy.
Bye.
Thank you so much. God bless. This was
Thank you.
awesome.
Thanks.